Here now is Kayleigh McEnany, National Press Secretary for the Trump 2020 campaign. Good to have you with us.
Thank you, guys.
Kayleigh, speaking of Elizabeth Warren, she drew a crowd of about 20,000 in Manhattan this week. We saw similar crowds with then-candidate Trump back in 2016. How concerned does this make the campaign?
Look, we've certainly taken notice of Elizabeth Warren's rise. She is on the heels of Joe Biden. She could very likely be the nominee. So we've taken notice of that. In terms of comparing crowds, we're very confident when the president can go to a blue state and draw crowds like what we saw in New Hampshire, where you had 5,000 waiting outside. I saw it myself watching the president on a television screen. It's pretty easy to draw a Democrat crowd in Manhattan. A lot more difficult for a Republican candidate to do that in New Hampshire or New Mexico, which the president just did.
Kayleigh, when it comes to women, Republicans, they lost some ground with women in 2018. What is the Trump campaign doing to reach women and to win them over for 2020?
Well, the president's accomplishments. You know, we have a president, the first Republican president in history, first president of either party, actually, to put in his budget a plan for paid family leave. So important to women. I can tell you, as a new mother myself with a baby on the way, paid family leave and having that as an option in your company is big. And this president is the one who's put that in the budget and opened the way for women in the workforce, 65-year low in unemployment for women. The numbers and facts tell the story. So we're trying to blow past the media narrative and get the facts out there to females across the country.
When you're out on the ground, you're talking to women and just people out in middle America, women in particular, what are they telling you? What are you sensing?
Yeah, one of the things women are telling me, and I've heard this from a few women, saying, look, I was silent about my support for the president in 2016. I had one woman say, I pulled the lever for the president in the heat of the moment in the voting booth, but now I'm being more outspoken. I think a lot of people are turned off by Hollywood attacking the president and the media attacking the president and the left attacking the president. So I do think it's driving a lot of women to come out and be more vocal in their support. But I also think there's still that contingency of hidden Trump voters who many happen to be women, who might not talk to a pollster or talk to the media, but nevertheless know the president's right for their family and will vote for him.
Kayleigh, let's talk about those close states like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. President Trump won several of those states by a very narrow margin. What's he doing this time around to make sure that he can win those states?
Well, when I talked about the facts with regard to women, I would say the same with regard to these states and to blue-collar workers. You know, you have Joe Biden, for instance, saying, you know, I'm blue-collar Joe. I'm someone who should get union support. But then when you look at the facts and the record, you have a candidate in Joe Biden who supported NAFTA, which shut down 60,000 factories, versus a president who tore NAFTA up and said, I have the USMCA, the strongest labor provisions that are protective of labor in the history of our country. So by comparing records, we think we will shore up Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, looking to move into Minnesota, where the president lost by just 1.5 points, and it falls into that mold. So we're looking to be offensive here, defend the territory we had in 2016, and move forward in 2020.
Expand the map.
Yes.
What states do you think you could win this time around? Could you flip that you didn't have in 2016?
So 4 in particular we're really looking at: New Mexico, New Hampshire, where the president had two rallies, and Nevada as well, and Minnesota. So all 4 of those states are blue states we're looking at, and we've seen movement, and they are winnable.
So one topic, using the Lord's name in vain. President Trump has gotten in some trouble, some hot water for this recently. We have a clip, and then we'll talk about that.
You happen to be watching the Democrat debate, and the wind isn't blowing. You're not going to see the debate. Charlie, what the hell happened to this debate? He says, darling, the wind isn't blowing. The god windmill stopped. That windmill stopped.
So, Kayleigh, a lot of Christians, they find this sort of language offensive. Why does the president continue to use it?
You know, it's his choice what words he uses, but what I can tell you is he won an extraordinary amount of support from evangelicals like myself and from Catholic voters, and he did because they knew that he would be a fighter for their causes, and he has been a fighter for Christian causes, pro-life, putting judges on the bench, religious freedom. There's no doubt that the evangelical community and the Catholic community has had no greater fighter than President Trump.
All right, Kayleigh McEnany, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kayleigh.